Hey, what's up guys, it's Zenith here today with episode 2 of my tutorial series. Well, really more like episode 1.5, because for today I want to both clarify and expand upon what was mentioned in my last tutorial, Sheik's Vanish Glide. As always, I am constantly on the lookout for feedback and suggestions, and with someone telling me on my Reddit post that they like the idea of having these tutorials not necessarily geared towards optimal competitive play, but rather to learn fun things to style with in friendlies, I want to dedicate this video to that. Something else brought up in my comments was how I neglected to go over a detail I really should have explained more clearly, which is what I will do in this video. I would like to thank everybody for their support on the last video. I always look through all my comments for ways to improve, and I really appreciate you taking the time to tell me your thoughts. With that said, let's get on to the video. In the last video we talked about Sheik's Vanish Glide, and I attempted to simplify this technique by explaining a trick I discovered and implemented to simplify this tech and make it easier and more consistent to do. What I failed to do, however, was to explain clearly and exactly what was necessary for the technique to work. See, I did not mention that the quarter circle movement itself is not necessary to perform the tech. The reason I mentioned it at all is because number one, it is a valid method and you can perform the tech while quarter circling, as well as number two, it is an easier way, at least in my opinion, to both explain and perform the tech more consistently and safely. What I should have mentioned, however, was that the only necessary components of Sheik's Vanish Glide is to carry momentum into an up B near the ledge before angling it back towards the ledge to grab. Whatever method is used to achieve this is 100% valid, and the quarter circle for me was just nothing more than a useful learning tool to remember and build quick muscle memory. I should have also mentioned that in addition to the quarter circle, snapping the control stick back towards the ledge, which aims Sheik's up B to grab ledge, is just as important to do as quickly as possible. I did somewhat mention it last video, but I feel more emphasis should definitely be put on it. Here I am showing the path I take with my control stick in order to Vanish Glide to the left. Going to the right is the same thing, just flipped. Now that that's out of the way, what if I told you Sheik was not the only character in Melee that could perform such a stylish ledge grabbing technique? That at least 6 other characters can do the same just as easy, as well as a couple others who can do a similar technique just with more strict timing. Now this may not be news to a lot of players who have been around the game for a longer time, but for someone like me who's relatively new to the scene, and also being a Marth and Falco main myself, I did not really think about the other characters besides Sheik that could perform different variations using momentum and up B to grab the ledge in a stylish manner, especially because I only saw a few Sheiks do this technique, and that even fewer players main the characters that are on the lower side of the tier list that can also perform the technique. Characters like Link, Young Link, Donkey Kong, and Bowser all have up Bs that can be used like Sheik's Vanish Glide. These were the most obvious to me because of their visuals, but any other character that is able to run up to the ledge and put out an up B while on the ground, while having some way with their momentum to turn around and grab ledge, can perform their own versions of the quote-unquote Vanish Glide. As I said before, DK, Bowser, Link, and Young Link all have similar spinning up B moves that can be used on the ground and can be used with the control stick to influence the direction that you go while performing the move. These characters I found are able to use the tech the absolute easiest, especially transitioning from learning it with Sheik. This is because they all share the exact same timing as Sheik's Vanish Glide. If the trick I mentioned before in the Vanish Glide tutorial helps, concentrate on applying a fast input straight up on the analog stick followed by a quick quarter circle in the opposite direction from the ledge before snapping back towards the ledge, angling the up B back to grab. If you prefer not using the quarter circle method and just skip to this part of the video, I mentioned earlier that any method that allows you to retain momentum into your up B near the ledge will also work. The same properties from Sheik's Vanish Glide are present with all the other characters, including the distance from the ledge playing a factor in the ledge grabbing speed. Characters like Yoshi and Jiggs also have a standing up B that can be used in this exact same way. They're just not as visual. For Yoshi, he throws an egg up, which is probably something you've seen Amsa do, and Jiggs almost has no visual cue for this happening due to Sing being a move whose visual comes out very slowly. It should be noted that performing this technique with any one of these characters that I just mentioned is just as risky as doing it with Sheik, meaning it's very easy to side B off the stage, or even slide off the stage if you up B prematurely or too late and fail to direct the direction back towards the ledge. Except of course, Jigglypuff is the exception here, not only because she has multiple jumps or that Pound is a move that she can easily recover back to the stage from, but because Sing is a move that can grab ledge from either side that Jigglypuff is facing, meaning even if you do not turn around, Sing will still grab ledge regardless. With characters like Zelda, I had trouble with specifically due to her slow movement and tighter timing, but it is still possible to do in some regard, as well as being able to do it somewhat with Pikachu and Pichu. I found that characters such as Ice Climbers and Ness were not able to perform the technique despite having moves that I at first assumed would work. I am not for certain if it is impossible, but the timings are at least very different from Sheik's Vanish Glide, whereas all the other characters I mentioned before share the same inputs and timing. So if you're coming from from this video from the first video and you now know how to do Sheik's Vanish Glide, or you knew how to do it previously, you already know how to do it with any one of the characters I mentioned. Unfortunately, the rest of the cast do not have up B moves that allow for this technique to be performed, as far as I know. I am by no means an expert on this. I'm just trying to share a trick that I found useful in learning the Vanish Glide, as well as trying to spread the information that you can perform this ledge grabbing technique with a variety of other characters. Of course, there are many other characters who have different methods of using a combination of special moves to grab ledge in a similar fashion, such as Fox and Falco with their shine turnaround up B, and other characters can simply just PC walk to the ledge, moonwalk, jump and grab ledge, or use any number of other methods. This is by no means the only way to grab ledge or the best way to grab ledge. It is just, in my opinion, the most fun way to grab ledge. If anybody wants me to go over the Spacey stall or anything else I just mentioned, please also let me know. This was just a small little part 2 sequel to the first video, something more fun than serious, and geared towards newer players who may not have necessarily realized that there are 6+ characters that all have similar ledge grabbing techniques that all share the same timings. But I felt like attempting to make a comprehensive video encompassing all of them at once might help players more by explaining them out with visuals, as well as creating more exposure. As always, this video was very fun to make. If anybody has a request for a specific technique or anything they want to see, or if you have any ideas of what I can do better, please let me know. Like I said before, I really do appreciate every comment. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I'll see you in the next video.